Imagine for a second, right, that you just hired the most brilliant, highly sought-after business consultant in the entire world.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
I mean, this person is an absolute genius. They've read like every business book ever published. But on their very first day, you take them, you lock them in an empty conference room with literally no windows.
Oh, wow. Sounds like a great onboarding experience.
Right. And you refuse to give them access to any company files, any past emails, or any customer data whatsoever. And then you just slide a piece of paper under the door asking them to write a highly customized targeted marketing strategy for your top-tier clients.
And let me guess, you act completely shocked and, disappointed when the strategy they slide back under the door is just a list of generic business cliches about, like, leveraging synergies and optimizing paradigms.
Exactly. It is completely laughable when you frame it in the physical world.
Yeah.
Like if you did that to a human consultant, you'd be the worst manager on earth.
Yeah, you would be.
But the crazy thing is, we are doing this exact thing every single day with artificial intelligence. And we are tackling that exact frustration today.
It's so true. We really are.
So the mission for this deep dive is to dissect the incredible friction that comes with using modern AI tools in business. And we're going to explore the architectural solution to actually fix it.
Which is so needed right now.
Right. We're going to be unpacking the mechanics behind HubSpot's new embedded AI, which is called Breeze. Because let's be honest, how many times this week have you spent like 10 minutes crafting the absolute perfect multi-paragraph prompt into a standalone AI window?
Just praying for something usable.
Yes, just praying for a good result only to get that robotic, soulless text back. It just feels like you are working for your software rather than your software working for you.
And that feeling of working for your software is really the defining bottleneck of modern business right now. People treat that symptom, the robotic text, as if the AI itself is just flawed or maybe not quite smart enough yet. They think, oh, I guess the model just needs another update.
Like just needs to read more of the internet or something.
Right, exactly. But the root cause isn't the intelligence of the model at all. The root cause is isolation.
Okay, let's unpack this concept of isolation. Because this is the trap I think almost every company is falling into right now.
Absolutely.
We're taking all these disconnected applications and just like bolting them onto our existing workflows. We have our email client over here. Our customer database is living in some totally other software. Our support tickets are in a third window. And then we have this completely separate AI generator open in a fourth tab.
Which creates a scenario we call a fragmented software stack.
Right.
You think you're adding capabilities by bringing in a standalone AI tool, but if it's entirely disconnected from your foundational data, you aren't actually driving revenue or saving time.
You were just adding more work.
Exactly. You are multiplying the complexity of your daily operations. You're adding steps. You are literally copying from your database, pasting into the AI, copying the AI's output, and pasting it back into an email.
So that standalone AI generator is operating completely blind.
Completely blind. To understand why it fails, we have to look at how a large language model actually functions.
Okay.
These generative models, they're incredibly powerful prediction engines. They have ingested the entire internet up to a certain date, so they know how language works.
Right, they know how to string words together.
Exactly, but they don't natively possess any information about your specific business. If you are using an isolated AI window, it can't see a client's pending support tickets.
Right.
It doesn't know if a prospect opened an email from you this morning. It certainly hasn't learned your specific brand voice.
It's essentially that consultant locked in the empty room we talked about.
That's exactly what it is. It doesn't have the context, so mathematically, it is forced to guess.
And when an AI guesses?
When it guesses, it defaults to the statistical average of its training data. And that statistical average is what we perceive as generic, boring, robotic text.
Wow, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So to solve this context problem, the intelligence has to live exactly where the information lives.
Which brings us to the engineering solution, right?
Yeah.
Unification.
Yes. Unification.
Looking at HubSpot's approach with Breeze, they are treating this not as a feature to just add on, but as a foundational shift. They describe Breeze as a collection of embedded AI tools designed specifically to solve this exact context problem.
Right.
And the way it does this is by sitting directly on top of HubSpot's Smart CRM.
And that smart CRM is really the central nervous system for a business. It's the database for every single customer interaction.
So everything is in one place.
Everything. So when you embed the AI directly onto that database, the AI inherently possesses the complete historical and operational context. It sees the emails, it sees the deal pipelines, it sees the support tickets.
Okay, I see the value in that unification. But I actually have to push back here on the security aspect of it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Because, like, if this AI has total unfettered access to my smart CRM, literally every email, every support ticket, every draft, what is stopping an autonomous tool from hallucinating and pulling highly confidential contract details from, say, one client and accidentally putting them into an email draft for a completely different prospect.
That is such a valid concern.
Right. That unified context sounds like a massive liability waiting to happen.
It does. And honestly, that is the single most important question a business leader should be asking when they adopt AI.
Good. I'm glad I asked that.
But the way a properly architected system like Breeze handles this is through something called permission-aware context.
Permission-aware context. Okay.
Yeah. The AI does not have a single godlike view of the entire database that it just shares with everyone. The AI actually inherits the specific permissions of the human user interacting with it.
Oh. So the AI essentially assumes my identity and my clearance level when I'm the one asking a question.
Precisely. So if a junior marketing coordinator asks the AI to summarize a client account, the AI will only retrieve context from the files and emails that the coordinator already has the security clearance to see.
That's brilliant.
Right. It mechanically cannot retrieve a confidential executive contract because, in the context of that specific user session, that contract effectively does not exist.
That makes a lot of sense, and it really clears up a major roadblock for adopting this stuff.
It really does.
And when companies do get over that roadblock and unify their stack, I mean, the numbers we are seeing are massive. Companies operating from this kind of single unified platform saw 129% more leads and closed 36% more deals.
Those are huge numbers. And let's look at the mechanics of why those specific metrics jump so drastically.
Yeah, how does that actually happen?
Well, when you remove the friction of a fragmented system, your team isn't losing 3 hours a day just trying to make different software platforms talk to each other.
Right, the copy pasting we talked about.
Exactly. Sales reps historically spend an absurd percentage of their week doing data entry and context gathering, reading through old emails just to figure out what a prospect wants.
Oh yeah, digging through threads for hours.
But when the AI is an integrated capability that just exists where the work is happening, that research time basically drops to zero. And so output goes up.
I really want to talk about what this looks like day to day, though.
Okay.
Because even if the AI has all this context, is it still just like sitting there with a blinking cursor waiting for me to give it a better prompt?
That's a great question.
Because if I still have to write a masterful prompt to get it to do something, even inside the CRM, my day hasn't actually changed that much. I'm still doing the heavy lifting.
And this is where the workflow fundamentally changes. HubSpot built something they call the Breeze Assistant.
The Breeze Assistant.
Yes. Instead of a passive tool waiting for your instructions, it functions as an active companion. It completely flips the dynamic. Instead of you prompting it, it actually prompts you.
Wow. Let's walk through a real-world scenario so people can visualize this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say a salesperson is about to hop on a Zoom call with a huge prospect.
Okay, perfect example. Before that call even starts, the Breeze Assistant initiates the process. It instantly analyzes months of past CRM interactions, prior email threads, website activity.
Just going through everything.
Everything. It uses a mechanism similar to retrieval augmented generation, or RAG. It pulls the most relevant data points about this specific prospect and just injects them into the AI's context window.
Wait, so it's prepping the salesperson with targeted insights without even being asked.
Without being asked.
So it already knows the specific pain points the prospect mentioned on a phone call like 3 months ago.
Yes.
It knows what marketing emails they clicked on yesterday.
Yeah.
And it serves up a strategy memo before the Zoom room even opens.
Exactly. It acts as this incredible intelligence layer between the raw data and the human. But where this really changes the game, I think, is in content creation.
Oh, absolutely. The bottleneck in marketing is always time and resources.
Always.
And here is where it gets really interesting for me, because anyone who writes content knows the dread of the blank page.
Oh, the blank page paralysis is real.
It's the worst. So the platform has this tool called Content Remix, and it solves a very specific problem. Let's say you write a brilliant, highly successful blog post that just resonates perfectly with your audience.
So a total hit.
Right. Historically, to get the most out of that, a human marketer would have to sit down and manually rewrite that entire post into a Twitter thread, a LinkedIn article, and like a email newsletter.
Which takes hours, so honestly, it rarely gets done well, if at all.
Exactly. But Content Remix takes that single high-performing asset and automatically formats it into multiple unique assets for different channels.
It's amazing.
But how is it actually doing that? Is it just summarizing the blog post and, like, making it shorter for Twitter?
Oh no, it's much more sophisticated than a simple summary. When Content Remix ingests your blog post, it parses the text to identify the core arguments, the key statistics, and the actual narrative flow. Then it applies specific constraints based on the target platform. So if it's generating a LinkedIn post, it knows to restructure the hook to stop a scroll, it breaks up the text for readability, and it adds relevant industry hashtags.
Right.
If it's creating an email newsletter, it adopts a more conversational, direct-to-reader format.
That's wild. It's like having a sous chef in a kitchen. You, the head chef, come up with the brilliant recipe, which is the blog post.
Yes, I love that analogy.
And the AI sous chef takes that recipe and handles all the tedious chopping and prepping to serve it in 5 different ways.
That is an excellent way to conceptualize it. And this leads directly into the AI blog writer feature, because the system is built on your smart CRM and your established marketing beta. It actually understands your specific brand voice.
I always wonder how that actually works, though. Like when a company says our AI understands your brand voice, what is technically happening behind the scenes? Is it just a buzzword?
No, it's not magic and it's not a buzzword. It's essentially semantic search.
Semantic search.
Yeah, because it's natively embedded. Every time you ask it to generate a new post, the system does a rapid search of your past 50 successful blogs in the background.
Oh, wow.
It mathematically extracts your specific sentence structures, your vocabulary choices, the level of formality you use, and it feeds all of that into the context window as a hidden system prompt before it types a single word.
So it's not just applying a generic, like, make this sound professional filter.
Not at all.
It's actually mimicking your historical cadence. That completely explains why the manual rewriting is cut down so drastically. The blank page paralysis literally disappears.
It fundamentally changes our relationship with AI. Your existing data immediately translates into tailored, deployable assets. It takes AI from being this cool novelty, a parlor trick you play with in a separate browser tab, and it turns it into a highly practical lever for operational efficiency.
So we've established how a unified architecture like Breeze accelerates human workflows.
Yes.
It makes the sales team smarter before calls. It makes the marketing team infinitely faster at generating content. But this is where the paradigm shifts from human assist to something entirely different.
This is the big leap.
What happens when the system operates autonomously?
This raises a profound question about the very definition of scaling a business. We are moving into the era of Breeze agents.
Breeze agents.
Yeah. And these aren't just assistants helping a human complete a task. They are AI-powered teammates built to execute specific end-to-end workflows in marketing, sales, and service, completely unsupervised.
Unsupervised. I mean, that is a massive leap from just summarizing an email thread.
It really is.
Let's look at the prospecting agent as an example. This agent autonomously monitors your CRM. It filters out weak leads, it actively identifies buying signals based on customer behavior, and then it dispatches personalized outreach.
On its own.
But let's pause here. What exactly constitutes a buying signal to an artificial intelligence? How does a computer know someone is ready to buy?
Right. It sounds complicated, but a buying signal to an AI is essentially an anomaly in the data that correlates with historical success.
Okay, an anomaly.
Yeah. The agent is constantly comparing the real-time behavior of your prospects against a model built from all your past closed-won deals.
So it's really just looking for patterns.
Exactly. If a prospect visits your pricing page, say 3 times in a single hour, and then opens your follow-up email within 2 minutes of receiving it and downloads a technical white paper.
That's a lot of activity.
Right. So the agent calculates a propensity to buy score. If that score crosses a certain threshold, the agent flags it as a buying signal and automatically triggers a highly personalized outreach email referencing that specific white paper they just read.
It's basically like having an invisible intern who sits at a desk 24/7, just reading the digital body language of your website visitors.
Exactly.
They notice who is lingering in the pricing aisle, and they quietly hand you a list of people who are ready to pull out their credit cards. It's doing the grueling, time-consuming part of outbound sales entirely in the background.
And then we apply that exact same autonomous logic to customer service with the customer agent.
Oh, this is fascinating.
This operates around the clock. When a customer reaches out with a complex query, the agent doesn't just send them a link to some generic FAQ page.
Which we all hate.
Right. Instead, it cross-references the incoming question against your company's entire internal knowledge base.
And we have real-world data on this working, too.
Mm-hmm.
The educational company Kaplan actually implemented Breeze to streamline their customer service communications using these exact agents, and they saw a massive 30% reduction in response times.
30% is huge.
It's an absolute eternity when you are a frustrated customer waiting for an answer. But what was the AI actually doing differently to shave off that much time?
Well, to understand the 30% reduction, you kind of have to look at how traditional chatbots fail.
Okay.
A traditional chatbot operates on rigid decision trees. If the customer asks a question outside of that pre-programmed tree, the bot just fails and routes the ticket to a human, who then has to start entirely from scratch.
Right, the classic agent please loop of frustration that we've all been through.
Exactly. But a generative customer agent doesn't use rigid trees. It ingests the entire knowledge base. So when a complex multi-part question comes in, the agent reads multiple different FAQ articles, extracts the specific steps needed for that user's exact problem, and synthesizes a completely original, direct answer.
Oh, wow. So it's piecing it together on the fly.
Yes, it resolves those mid-tier complexity issues that used to require human intervention. That is where the 30% time savings comes from. The human agents are simply no longer bogged down by the sheer volume of routine troubleshooting.
Which brings up the massive elephant in the room.
I know exactly what you're going to ask.
Right. What does this all mean for the human team? I know a lot of people hear the phrase autonomous agents and think, wait, are we just sitting back and watching bots work? Or, more fearfully, am I being replaced by a digital worker?
It is the most common fear in the market right now, but the reality of implementation is actually much more empowering.
How so?
By assigning high-volume repetitive tasks to autonomous agents, a company increases its total output while keeping its payroll stable. It fundamentally decouples business growth from headcount.
Decouples growth from headcount. So you aren't replacing your brilliant human team. You are finally freeing them from the manual copy and paste drudgery.
Exactly.
You are allowing your humans to focus on high-level strategy, actual relationship building, and complex problem solving, the nuanced things that AI mechanically cannot do.
Spot on. Scaling a modern business is no longer a test of human endurance. It's not about how many hours your team can grind through a spreadsheet or this race to recruit endlessly just to throw more bodies at manual tasks.
The era of fragmented software and brute force scaling is ending.
It really is. True scalability requires a context-aware foundation.
So if you are out there feeling that friction we talked about at the very beginning, the solution isn't trying harder. The solution is unifying your data so the intelligence lives exactly where the information lives.
That's the key.
And by the way, HubSpot is currently offering a free demo of Breeze if you want to see what building your own AI growth team looks like in practice. Because, it's one thing to hear us talk about RAG and semantic search, but it's a completely different thing to see the architecture actually deploy an agent.
Oh, absolutely. Seeing the architecture in action is a very practical next step for anyone trying to actually conceptualize this shift.
But before we wrap up today, there's one final detail about this system that I just cannot stop thinking about. It completely shifts how I view the future of work. HubSpot built a workspace called Breeze Studio.
Yes, Breeze Studio, the command center for the agents.
Right. It's a workspace where business leaders can discover, install, and manage these AI teammates. And here is the absolute kicker. You do it without writing a single line of code.
None at all.
You're literally browsing for digital workers, installing them into your workflows, and managing their outputs as if they were employees. Which leaves me with a huge provocative thought for us to end on.
Let's hear it.
If we are entering an era where you install teammates rather than hire them, and you manage their workflows without needing to be a software engineer, how does the fundamental definition of a manager change over the next 5 years?
Wow. That is a fascinating lens to look through.
Right. For decades, managing meant managing human endurance. It meant keeping people motivated through tedious tasks, managing complex schedules, dealing with burnout, and, doing performance reviews on data entry.
The exhausting parts of leadership.
Exactly. But in the near future, will the most valuable leadership skill shift entirely? Will the best managers simply be the ones who can flawlessly orchestrate a hybrid workforce of brilliant humans and autonomous digital agents?
It completely redefines the role. You transition from being a taskmaster to an architect of workflows. Your value is no longer in how hard you can push your team, but in how intelligently you can design the system they work within.
It all comes back to that brilliant consultant we locked in the empty room at the very beginning of our deep dive.
It sure does.
We finally figured out that we don't need to yell at the consultant to write a better strategy. We don't need to just try harder. We just need to unlock the door, let them into the filing room, and give them the context they need to actually do their job.
Build the foundation, give them the context, and the friction just disappears.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the tools you use every day, keep demanding more from your software, and we will catch you next time.